I know sometimes it's discouraging seeing how far, the US is falling right now and everything, but usually the people that I cover, I find it comical. A lot of this stuff is comical, especially what the Trump supporters say. It's funny as hell. And really not that relevant or important what Trump supporters say because yes, Trump is a massively influential figure, but the real nutter butters are not influential. The real nutter butters that you find at the rallies, it's concerning in itself that they say this stuff, but I find it more entertaining than disturbing because it really is not a widespread belief. We're still in the majority. Reasonable people, we're still in the majority. It feels like we're in the minority because the loudest voices are grabbing power anywhere they can, but they really are the minority group. The extremists are. Don't let this stuff get to you. We always take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We always have. Since the beginning, since the formation of the country, it's been like this. Look at where we are right now compared to where we were in the 1960s. Black people were still drinking from colored water fountains just 70 years ago. There are people alive right now who remember that. And back then, when they were drinking from colored water fountains, people who went to the integrated school that my parents went to, because they weren't always in integrated schools, my parents weren't. They went to segregated schools for a while. When they went to integrated schools, they almost certainly knew somebody who was a slave or knew somebody whose parents were slaves. This really is not that long ago. I just want to put it in perspective. And look at where we are now. We have progressed dramatically in this country since its founding. Every 50 years or so, we make massive progress, massive leaps forward. So I know it feels hard. I know it's stressful. I know things look bleak when we take those steps backward. But don't worry. We will take steps forward. We will. We'll take steps forward again. And in the meantime, enjoy the entertainment. Enjoy watching these people melt down and lose their minds and say the most ridiculous stuff. Because that's all we can do. If we can't laugh at it, then we'll cry. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And do your best, and don't worry about the rest. Hopefully that gives you some peace of mind. I can't laugh at this anymore. I still love your channel. I need distance for a while. I get it. I understand. If that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do. That's okay. Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hey, Owen. This is Brody from Pennsylvania. I wanted to get your opinion on something. Do you think Republicans are truly LGBT supportive, the ones that claim they are? Because they might claim that they support them, but they turn around and vote for people that are trying to destroy them and make their lives impossible and take their rights away. So I really don't consider a single Republican LGBT supportive unless they vote Democrat or third party that supports LGBT. So thanks for listening. Have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. It's an interesting question. Here's the thing about it. The Republican Party is publicly opposed to LGBT rights. It was in their platform for years. I believe it still is in most states' platforms, and I think on a federal level it is too. Don't quote me on that though. This article is from Politico. The GOP waves white flag in same-sex marriage wars. It was written by Meredith McGraw. Let's just read a couple paragraphs of it. To mark the beginning of Pride Month this year, Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel did what party leaders do on these types of occasions. She sent out a tweet. Happy Pride Month, she wrote. @GOP is proud to have doubled our LGBTQ support for the last 4 years, and we will continue to grow our big tent by supporting measures that promote fairness and balanced protections for LGBTQ Americans and those with deeply held religious beliefs. Inside the RNC, the missive barely registered. McDaniel, after all, had sent out a similar message in years past. But outside the building, those 265 characters prompted immediate backlash, not just from Democrats who accused her of disingenuousness, but social conservatives too, who furiously dialed up McDaniel with complaints. Tony Perkins, leader of the Family Research Council, lambasted her in a scathing blog post and even encouraged people not to donate to the RNC. But the attacks, particularly from the evangelical right, were met with a shrug by the party. So officially, I think the RNC's official position is to get votes from LGBT people, as many votes as they can. Historically and currently, they do absolutely nothing to support them. And historically, they've actually opposed them heavily. They have fought nonstop against gay marriage. They've fought nonstop against any kind of rights that they wanted, any basic rights the LGBT community wanted or needed. So the answer to your question is, you're right. The Republican Party, as a party, does not support the LGBT community, has never supported it, and at best, at this moment, they're showing ambivalence. They don't care. They don't care either way at best right now. They're trying to steal votes from Democrats basically by saying something basic like this. But even trying to steal votes and taking absolutely no action whatsoever is causing all kinds of problems within the party.
Hi, Owen. This is Sarah from Denmark. So I have a sister who's going to Bethel's Bible school. Their Bible School of Supernatural Ministries or something, BSSM. Do you know anything about that? Because Bethel is crazy, and is their Bible school crazy too? Do you know anything? I would love it if you'd cover it at some point. There's a bunch of shit to cover, and yeah. So help me out here. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. I actually do know of the Bethel, what's it called again? It's called Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. It is an incredibly conservative, extremist, right-wing evangelical school, and Kat Kerr helps write the curriculum for schools like this. They listen to Kat Kerr. They listen to Johnny Enlow and others like them. That's what this school is all about. So I figured we'd just take a look at their culture section of their website real fast and see what it says. Revival culture. Learn how to live in the kingdom of God and extend its borders through a supernatural lifestyle. Bring heaven to earth everywhere you go. Naturally supernatural. I mean, this is the evangelical movement. This is the evangelical school for all intents and purposes. The school is designed to equip students not just to minister in the gifts of the Spirit, but to live a supernatural lifestyle. You experience life-changing revelation about yourself and the world around you as you become aware of the kingdom within you and are encouraged to be naturally supernatural by bringing heaven to earth wherever you go. We believe Jesus meant it when he taught us to pray, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. What revival looks like. There are 6 sections: joy, becoming, present in our city, free and responsible, and transparency and community. Let's look at the joy section. If the kingdom of heaven is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit, then joy is 1/3 of the kingdom. That means a lot of laughter and fun. Life at BSSM is full and alive and joyful. This is a full-blown cult, in my opinion. This school is. You live there on campus, from my understanding. They raise you through the ranks. It's just creep central here. Very disturbing stuff, and it's an evangelical stronghold, basically. There's a lot wrong with this school, and I should really do a deep dive into it at some point. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention.
This is John from Alabama. Why every time you show things from JW Broadcasting, the people on there talk to me like us, like we're 4 years old and don't know nothing? I mean, just things like that's what they do. Talk to us like we're mentally challenged or something, or is it just my imagination? Bye.
No, it's not your imagination. They have a tendency to do that. I picked out a couple of basic JW Broadcasting clips. If you're unfamiliar, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses TV show that they do once a month. Listen to this. This is a governing body member, Jeffrey Jackson, I believe is who this is.
Welcome. We have many updates to share. As Jehovah's people, we are not surprised by such events. We're well aware that Russia and its allies fill the role described in Daniel chapter 11 as the king of the north.
I mean, you can hear just in the cadence alone, he sounds like he's talking to a child. It's It's done that way intentionally. That's how they set it up. I was trying to pick up the cadence when I was little because I knew that I wanted to get up there in front of the podium and tell people, or the lectern or whatever, and tell people how I felt about Jehovah. You know, I wanted to be an elder and I wanted to teach people and blah, blah, blah. Naturally, I got into public speaking anyways. I probably would have ended up being an elder eventually, but the point here is every Jehovah's Witness learns this cadence to some degree when they start doing public speaking. Even going in service, you put on this fake plastic smile, you know, knocking on doors and spreading the word of Jehovah. You put on this fake plastic smile when you're out there. Your eyes go glassy because you're talking about Jehovah to other people, and it's just this fake personality that you put on. And this is their fake personality that they're displaying here for you. Here's another example of it.
The events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
So this guy, Stephen Lett, I was told, I don't know how true it is, but I've been told he enunciates things that way and moves his mouth the way he does because his parents were deaf when he was little, and he had to move his lips in a very, pronounced way so that they could read his lips easier. Like I said, I don't know how true that is. That's just what I heard. But either way, you can hear the cadence in his voice. Outside of the way he's moving his mouth, he still has the Jehovah's Witness cadence. They do that very specifically and intentionally. It's part of putting people into a certain mindset, into a certain headspace, so that they start listening and taking things more seriously and things like that. It's all part of their propaganda. You can go back and look at any of their old videos, and you can kind of see the same cadence.
Hey, Owen, I just watched that thing, I don't know, second or third time, the guy with the mildew problem.
Oh, yeah, if you're unfamiliar with this guy, he's talking about Andrew Womack is who it is. So this guy, let's just play the clip. This is Andrew Womack telling us about a mildew problem that he had. Listen to this.
You know, real quickly, we need to take questions, but real quickly, when my wife and I first got married, we were poor and we lived in a house that wasn't insulated. And so we had a gas heater on the inside to keep the place warm, but because there was no insulation, the walls sweat. And in the closets, especially where it was dark and stuff like this, we just had mildew everywhere. And you know what I did? Instead of taking something and cleaning it off and repainting or something, I took Deuteronomy chapter 28 and read it. Mildew, you are accursed. Then I turned over to Galatians 3:13. I'm redeemed from you. And I spoke to mildew and cursed it. And did you know it went away without me having to clean it and do something? It was a curse. And I rebuked the curse. And I got free from that.
Oh, yeah, that's so incredibly believable. Totally, 100%. His wife definitely wasn't going behind his back and just cleaning it up for him, I bet. It was definitely him rebuking the curse of mildew, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, I'm on the same page as the caller. Continue, caller. What were you saying about it?
I don't know, second or third time, the guy with the mildew problem, that they were so poor that he and his wife were able to buy a house. They were that poor that they were able to buy a house. What horse? Some poverty, huh? I'm able to buy a house. Feel sorry for me.
Yeah, I absolutely know what you mean. Although, in fairness, I don't think he said that he owned the house, but if the mildew was his problem, then he probably did. Because if you're renting, usually it's the landlord's problem to deal with certain things like that. Leaks or mildew or whatever else. Not your thing. It's the landlord's thing. Typically. Depends. But yeah, I honestly don't think that this guy knows what it's like to be poor. I don't think he has any clue what it's like. Not for a second. He is a megachurch pastor and a televangelist and is certainly not anywhere near that poor today. Not as poor as he claims to be or claims to have been. You know, for good measure, though, let me just show you how he feels about his congregants and about money and things like that. Just listen to what he has to say here.
I tell you, partnership in the gospel is the greatest thing you can do. When we get to heaven, I can guarantee you there's not a single one of you that's going to be saying, I wish you hadn't have encouraged me to give so much and that I'd have got my 5th flat screen TV and that I would have had more jewels and fancier clothes and a nicer car. All that stuff will be gone. It's only what you invest in the kingdom that is going to benefit you for eternity. You're going to come up to me and hug my neck and kiss me and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for getting that money out of my pocket.
That is so completely over the top. I just don't even know what to do with it, dude. That's Andrew Womack for you, man. I don't believe for a second he's been poor his entire life. Not for 1 second.